Hey, this is Steve Good on the Coin Chat with Yuri Cataldo, and today we are joined by the CEO of Minds.com, Bill Ottman. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, Bill, before we jump in, I think there's a lot of people who are just hearing about Minds for the first time. Would you mind just giving everyone just kind of the 2-minute overview of the platform? And then, because you've already been on another show with Crypto Beatles, and we'll put a link to that up, here in the top. Let's not talk about what you've done with him because people can go check that out. We'll get into other topics, but maybe just give a quick overview first, and then we'll jump in from there.
Sure. So Minds is a free and open source social networking platform fueled by crypto. We're fully dedicated to privacy, almost radical transparency, and helping creators earn and be rewarded for their energy. Because, all the mainstream proprietary social networks are really just punishing everybody, whether it's with the algorithms or surveillance or, X, Y, and Z. So, that's the quick one.
And how did you decide to get into this space in the first place? What was it that led you down this path toward more about data, controlling our data and being more anonymous and being able to have more freedom of the way we express ourselves?
It's always felt inevitable to me that there was going to emerge an open source social network. If you just look at the history of the internet, everything from Wikipedia to WordPress to Bitcoin itself, these more transparent and then decentralized options are just rising up. There's no honest reason not to have the global infrastructure running on transparent distributed systems, because it's just, as long as the functionality can be equivalent and competitive, then it's really just better in so many different ways. So I'm certainly not claiming we're fully decentralized, but that is our goal in the long term, and it's just sort of step by step.
Incredible.
Sure.
It's a great start. I mean, for those who don't know, we are actually on Minds.com as well. We've set up our own channel on there. We've started posting some of our content, some of the historical content. Of course, we're experimenting and using it as we go, trying to figure out how it works because it's different. It's got some cool features. I like the boost idea that I can take a content item and just boost it and share it with a token. I like that. I am a little confused about this on-chain and off-chain thing. Do you want to describe for people what on-chain and off-chain means?
Yeah, so basically every day we're airdropping to the whole community, and your token reward of the day is based on your contribution to the network that day. So whoever receives the most engagement and makes the most referrals and participates the most is getting the most tokens. And one token, when you boost with it, gives you 1,000 impressions extra beyond the people who subscribe to you. And this has been probably the most popular feature, just because people, first of all, just want to be heard on the internet. People are looking for a voice, and you on Facebook especially, you don't even reach your own audience anymore. It's become such a racket. So, and there's actually multiple types of boost. When you boost for 5 tokens, you get 5,000 impressions. We'll distribute those through the news feeds. There's another one that's fully peer-to-peer, where I can send you an offer of 10 tokens to share my post. And you'll get an offer that says, hey, Bill's offering you 10 tokens. You can accept it or reject it. And that is actually, I'm hoping that really starts to take off more. People are using it. But that's direct advertising, no middleman. You pick a brand that you want to reach their audience. You send them an offer, and it's fully automated. So, because there's a whole sort of underground economy that exists on social media where pages are paying each other for promotion, and we figured why not automate that and put it on the blockchain. So there's with the on-chain off-chain thing, whether it's a peer-to-peer transaction through our product called Wire or a Boost, you have the option to do those transactions on-chain or off-chain. And the reason for that is, one, scaling, just dealing with Ethereum gas fees, and just user experience. We had a point system before we even rolled out the ERC20 token. It was just our own, internal digital currency, and it was really easy for people. And so we just rather than forcing everyone to get MetaMask, we just wanted to have a smoother transition into it. And we incentivize on-chain activity. You can earn more for going on-chain, but it's really just an educational thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, Bill, some of our listeners, in listening to you describe some of this, are more familiar with Steemit and that platform just because they've been around longer. And
yeah,
Steve and I have our own opinions and have talked about them. But just for like on the very basics, I'm sure you probably get this a lot, but could you do a quick, like what makes yours different from the Steemit platform?
Yeah, for sure. So, well, we're not running our own blockchain, one. It's an ERC20. The way that so founders didn't take any tokens. Everyone's sort of on the same playing field. And the voting system is much different on Steemit. You have more voting power for having more steam. Mm-hmm. And that's like the opposite of how ours works. You earn the most on mines for getting the most engagement. So it's more meritocratic in that sense. And holding more mines tokens doesn't give you doesn't allow you earn more. You can boost more if you buy them because you can earn or buy. And but that's really important from the voting perspective. I think on Steemit, people are trying to attract the attention of these whales, and that's really the way to get these massive payouts by just getting like 200 people's attention. But yeah, that's not how we work.
Okay, excellent. That's actually one of our biggest criticisms, is that you have to spend all this time attracting whales who then, bless you with their like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually,
I think it's a cool experiment. I mean, I just want to say, I think that, they're open source. They're, I think they're on the right side of history, at least, as opposed to like the surveillance networks. So, I try not to hate. But I do have criticisms too. Yeah.
I think we've all struggled a bit at times with trying to get Steem to work on our behalf or our benefit, knowing that to get the upvotes that really mattered was to have a whale upvote you. I like very much the idea that you've said that I could, for example, try to approach Joe Rogan, who I noticed was on your platform, and I've subscribed to him because he's an interesting character. And now that I know that I can actually say, here's a post, Joe, do you want to promote that for me? Who knows? Maybe I have to give it a try. How did you manage to get Joe to come on to your platform, by the way?
I went on a show. I went on a show like a month ago, 2 months ago. Yeah. He's not active yet, but he signed up, which is cool. I think that guy has the most absurd schedule known to man.
I bet.
But we're working on it. We're trying to get him active.
Yeah.
So let me pick up on one other thing. So you talked about, Steem having its own blockchain, and so you've gone down another path, which was the ERC20 Ethereum path, which I can't fault anybody for doing that because Ethereum has an incredible network and a very robust infrastructure. But when I look, let's say, more broadly at the platform in terms of what you're trying to achieve in terms of optimizing your own internal costs and having a more efficient environment, from that standpoint, why go down an Ethereum path and not just create your own blockchain?
Creating our own blockchain would have taken vastly more of a development effort. It would have taken way more resources. And if we did that, it wouldn't have been nearly as decentralized because there would probably only be a couple people running nodes. And not to mention, what was really most appealing about Ethereum was the Web3 tools and MetaMask. And, there's no other blockchain that has really comparable UX tools yet. So, we're open to whatever happens in the future, but so far it's been pretty solid.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that part of it, unless CryptoKitties has a new cat or kitty that comes along that slows the network down. That could theoretically impact you guys, I suppose.
Yeah, and we have, we've considered things like staking, and because anyone can take our code and create their own social network, you can actually use ours to make your own app. We're looking into things like federation and potentially, plugging nodes in that sense into our reward earning structure. So, there's a lot more creative stuff that we can do in the future and to make it, faster and I don't, we're going to get there. We're just, one step at a time. It still took us a year to build. It was still a huge effort, even with just doing the ERC20.
Yeah. So something else that I noticed as well is the need to pay to get your account verified. And I assume by verified, it means something like KYC. Do you want to just talk about why somebody would have to pay to get verified as a user and what that means for them if they are verified?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not set on this being the ultimately perfect system at all, but it's literally only like that because we have a really small team and there's a lot of verification requests, and it would take us sort of like all day to be going through them all, and it's really not what we
so it's actually to discourage. So right now it's actually to discourage us from doing KYC.
I mean, the core issue is KYC itself, and we've been struggling with finding a provider that is not just a centralized surveillance hub where everybody's feeding in all of their, we don't even take personal information. So we don't require any personal information to use the app. So the idea of us sort of betraying that commitment and partnering with some company who is going to be doing this,
storing the data that you scan, like a scanned passport, for example, or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when something emerges, and maybe you guys know of something that we should consider, but when something emerges that is like, it's all on your own device, and you're not giving up all your keys and in your personal information, then we'll certainly consider it. So right now, all we're doing is saying, hey, send us links of places where you are verified, and we'll check it out.
There is an app that came across that was meant to be a decentralized KYC platform. So I'm glad you asked me the question. I can't remember off the top. I'm just looking I know I had it open in my
Civic.
I'll tell you offline because I'm going to check it out myself and make sure they're still around. It's like a lot of these projects that come and go, but I'm pretty sure they are. It was a blockchain-powered identity management platform. It looked really good when they first came out and did their ICO about, I think it was almost 18 months ago or 12 months ago. So
I think you might be talking about Civic.
No, not Civic.
No,
no, absolutely not Civic. Something else. That was much more advanced than what Civic is doing.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, because Civic also wasn't open source, and we also have a commitment to only using fully open source software with all the integrations we do.
Right.
So, that's another barrier to entry.
Yeah, no, I'll dig it out and I'll find it because I don't want to say it here and then find out they don't exist anymore. Or there's something else that's wrong, and I haven't checked them out personally in a long time. So I'll do a little digging. And share.
Yeah, and for anyone out there listening, if you know of something, all of our code is at gitlab.com/minds, and we do all of our project management fully out in the open. So you can just submit an issue, and if you have suggestions for that, just let us know, and we'll definitely look at it.
That's very cool. Great. So I also noticed another thing about using the platform, so you can tell we've been using it a bit, is the fact that we're limiting the number of hashtags that we can put when we post something to 5 hashtags. Why is it limited to 5?
Just spammers, because I mean, people abuse hashtags like no other, and they'll just put 100 hashtags to try to get into every single feed. We have a pretty advanced hashtag system where you can filter everything on the site by any hashtag. So what people do, I actually don't even want to say what they'll do because then they'll just
go and do it. Yeah.
Not that your audience would ever do that.
No. Oh, we've got a great subscriber group and listener group. They're not going to do anything to abuse this. So.
People just abuse it, and that's the only reason. We could expand it to 10 or something.
Yeah. So the other thing we were talking about off camera that I know we were going to talk about more was about the idea of how to give people the freedom to express themselves without worrying about censorship. Now, I know that I've told you off camera that we've been censored before on YouTube, which was pretty horrendous, actually. I didn't think it existed. I just did not believe it until it happened. And Yuri was like, "Come on, that's not." I'm like, "Look, it's not. It's gone."
Yeah.
Wow.
How
What
do
happened?
what happened? So we had McAfee on the show, and I'll put a link to that up as well. And we put the episode up, and it was really talking about two things. One was about some things happening in blockchain, and the other was about him talking about the fact that he'd gone into exile from the U.S. because of the grand jury that was going on against him, and he wanted to be public about it and just talked about it. This was the only episode we've ever posted where it kept disappearing from our homepage, from our main feeds. It just would just disappear. And as far as I could tell, looking at my own controls within YouTube and all the Creator Studio stuff, it was there. It was published, but people were commenting, going, I've got the link. The link works. I can get to the episode through the link, but it's absolutely invisible and it's not showing up. It's not trending. Nothing. I had to take it down to unpublish it, make it unlisted, republish it 5 times. And this was not happening just in one country. This was US, UK, Singapore, Korea, India. In different places, it was disappearing at different times. And this was just a one-off because we had other episodes that we posted before and after. And it was remarkable. And, we were surprised because we've also interviewed Andrew Yang who's running for president of the U.S.
Right.
We had no problem with that one because he's, of course, the squeaky clean guy. But I suppose if you want to censor things, you're going to censor what you want. And it gave us a kind of an eerie, spooky feeling that Google's got kind of an eye on us all of a sudden. And it was not comfortable thinking that here we are as content producers and just people that want to get the truth out there, interview people, have transparency, authenticity, openness. That's our goal. And to be honest, that's why I like Minds. I don't use Facebook. I've been off it for 3 years, except for live feeds. That's the only reason. It's just plugging it in from OBS, and I'll just broadcast that way. I like what I'm seeing in Minds. I like it's inspiring for me because I feel like I can post things, and you're not going to say, sorry, we blocked that one.
Yeah. It sounds like some shadow banning is going on there. And, you'd mentioned that you didn't see this week, but things got really amped up this last week on Facebook, where Facebook and Instagram banned James Woods, who's like a famous conservative actor, Alex Jones, Paul Just Watson, Louis Farrakhan, all at the same time. And they actually gave the press embargo about this. So they told the press that they were going to do this before they actually did it. And there were, full feature articles written in advance, which just goes to, speaks to that revolving door between some of the mainstream media and...
So it's okay to ban individuals, but it's okay for the Russians to go ahead and just, promote whatever they want to promote about, pushing a certain, agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not sustainable. And the takeaway that I try, everyone... It's a big deal to leave your old social world because you've put so much time into it, and people are, I think, a little bit overwhelmed by the idea of that. But to me, it's just about supporting the alternative. Sign up, check in once in a while, do a few posts on all of them, not just mine. The browsers that use the technology that supports your freedom, and a little bit every day, and that's what's going to build the alternative. Because look, you guys have a big YouTube following. The hammer could come down on crypto any day. Right. You never know what's going to happen. So it's you want to back yourself up. You don't want to be reliant on any third party for your own business and your own sustainability. This happened to us on Facebook. I mean, 10 years ago. Maybe 6 years ago. I mean, we had millions of followers on Facebook. We were still building the alternative, but we were using it as a tool to drive traffic. Millions of followers. We still do, but the pages are worthless. And the reach just got restricted. So we were making like a ton of revenue with advertising and whatnot, and the whole media industry got rocked by the Facebook algorithm changes because you could, drive mega traffic if you had pages that big. And then they were like, no, you can only reach 3% of those followers now. Forget it if your whole business is destroyed and you can't, make money to eat next month. We don't care.
Right.
So we were just like, we need to build our own ad network. That doesn't spy on people. We need to just be fully independent, and that's what we just keep doing, and it keeps working out.
Yeah.
So when we created a profile, as an example, like, in a Facebook terms, whatever content we've put there, obviously they have control of it. It's in a database. How does that differ when we've created our profile with you guys? Is it not still sitting in a centralized database that?
It is, but we have a prototype network, gitlab.com/mine/nomad, which is fully decentralized. We're playing with both the DAT protocol and IPFS to be able to handle that in the back end, but that's all very young technology. So, but we're eagerly pursuing it because, we use AWS, which is probably not, long-term sustainable.
Right.
We, our policy is as open as it possibly could be. There's no reason for us. We want the market. We want the full marketplace of ideas. That is what is going to help us grow. But at the same time, I understand your concern. We need to engineer that ability out of our own hands.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what our intentions are, because things can still get squirrely when you're relying on certain providers. But at the same time, in order to provide a user experience that's at all comparable to YouTube or Facebook, using central servers are not evil. They can be, which is problematic, but in order to provide video services, the decentralized web is just not competitive yet.
No,
but we're
absolutely
working on it. We're trying to get there, and as soon as there's tools for us to play with, we're playing with them, and that is where we want to go.
It's great. It's we don't expect it to be perfect to start with either, by the way, but it's always good for people to understand where you are in this journey, and what are you planning? So what are you going to do next? Let's just say over the next 30 days, 60 days, what would you be implementing next that might be noticeable or not visible, but that users would have more benefit from in terms of how it matches against your current roadmap?
Well, one intermediary step to sort of ease censorship concerns that we're rolling out, hopefully this month is this jury system. So rather than us making the decisions, that content needs to be flagged, or blah, this content is illegal, we're still going to be involved, but we're putting it out to the community. So there'll be flash juries on appeals and much more content moderation, so the users can actually vote in pools of 12 on what they think should be happening to different content, rather than us. Because if it's us, it's just, first of all, I realize we have to have that job to a certain degree, but that's the worst part of the job, and that's the most dangerous part of the job. So that's really exciting, more like digital democracy. We're doing a lot of work with feed filtering, and we're doing a big upgrade with analytics. For blockchain analytics, we're basically pulling in all the Etherscan data so that users can understand their own token economics, and they can understand the token economics of the network as a whole.
Yeah.
And we're leveraging Elasticsearch, which is an amazing framework, and Kibana to help us achieve that. But just better analytics. Look, the list goes on. You know what you want out of an epic social app. Every social app is becoming the same thing. What's really the difference between Snapchat and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook? They all basically do exactly the same thing. So what the open source crypto world needs to do is engineer an app with that same functionality, live streaming, everything, but it just needs to respect your freedom. So the funny thing is that any of these apps or companies, all they would have to do to really turn the tides and have a sustainable future would be to just reverse their policies, open up their, I'm acting like this is a small deal.
we wish it was, right? But we already know from experience that it's there's probably so many different control mechanisms that these big companies have now put in place for various reasons that we're unaware of. Control,
Right.
and you know, look, the world is oftentimes controlled a lot by the media is controlled more than people want to recognize because it's owned by a couple of big names. I mean, you know, so who's to say that because the media companies aren't being controlled, that it's not being pushed down to us and things are being implemented and people don't even know why? I mean, we could talk conspiracy theory and then we should be going over to the edge of wonder and talk with those guys instead.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, if you watch the Facebook conference and everything that they're seeming to focus on with privacy and, you know, their blockchain and their stable coin and whatnot, I mean, you know, the obvious prediction is that it's going to be proprietary.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning we're not going to have any access to see what the source code is doing. And they're just, it's going to be more of a control matrix under the guise of privacy and decentralization.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll surprise us and maybe it will be a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But, you know, when people talk about, oh, we're going to have end-to-end encrypted communications, but it's proprietary, it's a oxymoron. You can't, then you're then having to promise privacy.
Well, the irony is the whole idea, though, of these, you know, these protocols that are proprietary was always about how to make money. You know, if you look at the way Apple's entire ecosystem is defined and the way, think back some few years ago when the FBI wanted access to a phone and Apple said, sorry, we're not going to help you crack it because it's proprietary algorithms and we're not letting you in. I mean, this is the core of how things have developed in IT that I've seen over the last 20, 30 years. And proprietary was how you made money. You had to be edgy and different. You had to have the most unique thing and no one else was allowed to get into it because if they could, everyone would go, you know, in theory, oh, everyone's going to copy my stuff. Everyone's going to steal it. Right. That's not to say that would have happened, but that was at least when I was living in the world of fintech and working in software. That's all we ever talked about was the fact that our stuff was better than everyone else's and we had our proprietary code with our proprietary algorithms and we made open architectures and we made open APIs to let people use the stuff and connect in, but it was still ours and it was still highly protected and highly enclosed. And if you look at the big corporate worlds, I mean, the level of security and the level of protection that they impose even on their employees, I mean, my last employer, that was a big corporate employer, they were blocking us from using Skype. We were not allowed to use Skype because they were worried about things like files sharing and files being distributed, notwithstanding that you couldn't have WhatsApp, you couldn't have Telegram. They only wanted us to use internal ecosystem stuff in their own environment and was massively controlled because they were worried about corporate espionage. And there wasn't anything to steal. I mean,
it's a losing battle. I mean, you're never, first of all, there's always going to be some way that some employee is going to figure out how to share stuff if they really want to share stuff. But you're exactly right. That is the myth that has existed in the past in Silicon Valley, that, you know, we need to be secretive in order to have the edge. But moving forward, it's shifting. Now it's starting to be, the technology is like ubiquitous because open source is growing so fast that everybody is you know, with a solid development team able to, you know, thread things together to have really amazing tech. Now the edge is how much do you respect your users? How much are you empowering your users? How transparent are you? So it's the opposite, because now we're finding when a platform can get so big to have billions of users and basically global communications being reliant on these few platforms, there's just no excuse for the users not to come first.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, so let's move on from the space race and start working together.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we first released all our code, and you sort of have that fear. You're like, oh, God, we've been working for 5 years on building this, and is someone going to take it and compete with us? And then it's totally anticlimactic, and you put it out there, and you're like, oh, everything's the same. And actually, with the AGPL v3 license, which is what we use for our code, it's people have to share their changes anyway with everybody. I mean, granted, some people will probably not, but if anyone gets big enough, you're going to be able to tell. So it's just not worth the fear. You're going to get, having the open source community on your side is what makes a project successful. If you don't have the developers on your side, you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's why crypto is winning. That's why, that's why Linux destroyed, everything. I mean, there's just no, you need that community. Those are the smartest people in the world.
Right. So, Bill, at the end of 2018, you guys raised a Series A from Medici Ventures, and now the CEO of Overstock is on your board.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about why you chose to go with a Series A raise, and what it was like, working with Medici Ventures, and how you got involved with them?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do an ICO. We launched our token in the dead of crypto in August. I think ETH actually was probably at its maybe all-time low.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't care, because we had a product ready on day one. We already had 1 million users with our points system, and so what we did is we converted our points into tokens. So it was already a pre-existing system. It wasn't about raising a bunch of ETH for vapor, for something that didn't exist. It wasn't really we do sell tokens, but our tokens are our revenue. So you have to buy tokens in order to advertise on the network, or in order to get Minds Plus, or it's a different kind of system. So, with Medici and Patrick, I mean, look, they're super knowledgeable in this industry. They have a huge network and portfolio of synergistic companies. I mean, for a Series A partner, you couldn't. I mean, Patrick is the man. I mean, there's no better person that you could have on your board, and he's been a freedom fighter forever, and it's just I wouldn't change anything. I think that we did an equity crowdfunding round in 2017 where 1,500 members of our community actually got equity. So when the Series A happened, 1,500 members of our community who were under SAFE agreements, which is a simple agreement for future equity, that all converted into stock. So then now our community literally co-owns the network.
Wow.
So we wanted to. The Series A was huge too, because it really caused that conversion to go into effect, and we wanted to just, we're not going to lose with Medici and Patrick. They're awesome.
That's amazing.
Excellent.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I guess because we're kind of getting toward the end here, Bill, is there anything else that you want people to have as sort of a takeaway about, getting into Minds? I mean, certainly we'll put the link down below to the referral code that we have from having already used the platform ourselves. Not that we're shilling it by any means, because this is just an interview with you, but if people want to check it out, they can also check out our own profile. So they should come out and check out minds.com/thecoinchat to see what we're posting over there. But what would you like to leave users with in terms of the key takeaways of things as to why come over and try Minds out?
Yeah, so I compare it to voting with your dollars. I mean, people participate in crypto, people buy crypto, they use crypto because using it is what builds the movement in general. If you're not using it, okay, fine, but don't complain about, the big social networks and anything that they do. If you're not willing to, I'm not even talking about just Minds, use all the alternative social networks. Because using them and us is what builds us. So it's what builds our metrics, and it's also what's going to give you the the safety net if anything ever happens. Diversifying your portfolio, not just in the sense of tokens, but in the sense of a presence on different networks. And we reward you. There's no reason for us to do anything other than exactly what the community wants. So especially if you're a developer listening, please hit us up on GitLab, because we are literally building the things that we're prioritizing are a direct sync to what the community wants and to what you want to build. So if there's something specific that you think we need or that you think we suck at, like, let's fix it. I'm not, trying to act like we're perfect.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
fantastic. Yuri, any last thoughts from you before we go?
No, that's it for round one. Thank you so much, Bill. You've been amazing.
Yeah.
On, guys. Yeah, find me, minds.com/Ottman.
Say that again. Minds.com/Ottman. Okay, that's great.
That's it.
We'll put the link down below for you, Bill, so that's in our episode. And for those people who are listening in on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Alexa, or any of the other places where you can find us, thank you for listening in. And you can check out minds.com. It's a new social media platform with a lot of nice, very easy features. It's actually really pleasant to use. We've been trying it out. It's pretty cool. Thanks, everybody. Give us a subscribe and ring that bell on your way out and to the moon. Until next time.